Hello and welcome to this episode of Inside the Studio. Today we are joined by Shaina. She is a senior music performance major.
Yes.
And you have a minor too, right?
And business marketing, yes.
Okay, business queen. So today we are going to talk about women in the field of percussion.
Okay. What first drew you to percussion?
Okay, so this is like lore right here, okay?
Okay, I'm ready.
So I am the youngest child of 3 in my family, and when I was around 8 years old, my parents were like, okay, so like, what's your thing? Like, like you're turning into like a legit human, what's your thing? And basically, the long story short, my dad took me to Disney World and was like, what do you want to do?
Oh.
And I was like,
because everybody knows, like, Disney World's where you find out what you want to do.
Well, yeah, okay, it was,
yeah.
It was a business trip, and he took me with him.
Gotcha.
But I was, like, in a princess dress eating a large ice cream sundae, and he was like, so, like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I think I want to do music. And he was like, do you want to play, like, guitar? And apparently I was like, nah, drums. I want to play drums.
Just straight drums.
Yes.
Just drums.
I want to play drums. And that's where it started. It started off with drum set lessons when I was 8 years old.
So you're like insane at drum set?
No.
What? No.
I used to be.
How long did you take lessons for?
I took drum set lessons for close to 3 years, I want to say.
Okay.
Close to 3 years. Up until, I want to say, early middle school, which in Tennessee, middle school starts in 5th grade.
Oh, wow.
And so does band.
I didn't know that.
Now, both of my older siblings had been in band, and my middle school had a really awesome band director. So it was sort of just like, yeah, when Shaina gets to middle school, she's going to be in band.
Yeah.
And since I had a background in drum set, I was like, I am playing percussion. Usually, like, the process for figuring out what the beginner band kids' instruments are is, like, you go around, you try a few different instruments.
And they base you off of that.
Yeah, I did not try a single thing. They said, the band director said, can you play a C scale on a mallet instrument, and can you, like, play a flam on the snare drum? And I was like, yes, I can. Yes, in fact, I can. Watch me. And so, yeah, I kind of just avoided everything else. I said, no, I'm getting in percussion.
That's awesome.
And
Fun fact, I was supposed to be a trombone. I was supposed to be a trombone player.
In
middle school, yeah, we did the little, like, audition thing, and I got, like, a perfect score in low brass and trombone, and he was like, you're doing trombone. I was like, no, I'm not. I'm doing percussion. And so I did percussion instead. But he's like, if you suck at this, we're moving you to trombone.
I was almost an oboe player.
Basically,
there was like,
money.
There was like,
man, I don't know what
there was
your
like,
thought process was.
Oh my god, I keep touching my nose. There was like 5 kids that the band director pulled into the hallway, and he was essentially like, you 5 are smart. Y'all want the opportunity to play oboe? And I was like,
drums.
Put me on a drum. So yeah, that's kind of how that went. Yeah.
So your draw to percussion is different by a lot because you kind of grew up with it, but I'm sure like you had the freedom to think on your own of what you like. I mean, you were never gonna be forced into doing it, but it was something you were always around, so you know.
Yeah, so I grew up in a musical family. Both my parents did drum corps. My mom did color guard, and my dad did, he played snare. And so, like, I grew up, he also created the heavy hitter pad. So I grew up with, like, pads and sticks.
Insert picture.
Just, like, laying around the house. So there's got to be, like, there's videos of me when I was little, just, like, drumming mindlessly, like, no technique or anything. But, you know, I just, like, grew up around that. So I got to middle school, and they did kind of the same process where, like, you try out different instruments. So I got in there, and my band directors, because my dad also taught at my middle school, so the band directors obviously, like, knew me and my family, and they were like, okay, you're not allowed to try percussion. Pick a different instrument. So I tried flute, and I tried clarinet. And I made a sound on both of them.
Okay.
But then I was like, can I try percussion? Can I just try it? So then we did like a rhythm test, and I think it was like clapping your hands or like tapping it on your legs. And basically they were like, can you copy this rhythm that I play?
Yeah.
And I did that, and they're like, okay, perfect score. Now it's time to choose. And so I took the little Sharpie and I went over to the percussion like paper, because they had like papers for each instrument that everybody who signed up for that instrument could like sign their name.
So you guys like autographed.
Yeah. So I went up to the paper, the percussion one, the poster, and I like signed my name. So that was when I joined percussion.
So like obviously you loved percussion since you were little because you were around it. So but it was still your own self, like, I actually really enjoy this.
Oh yeah.
It was your own kind of
And
personal.
I think the fact that I've gotten to this point where now I'm like majoring in that,
yeah.
like I've developed my own love for it, and you know, branching out into different things that I decide that I like, or like you know,
different things that you wouldn't have been exposed to when you were younger. So, with being a woman in percussion, there's a lot of stereotypes that it is, because it is a male-dominated field. A lot of it is very male-dominated. Did you face any type of stereotypes? Like, when you joined percussion, like, did you face any of the assumptions that, oh, well, you're going to go do front ensemble, or you're going to do this, you know, more or less than being a snare, because, I mean, you were a snare drummer, you know, like, were there any stereotypes or assumptions that were made about you before?
Do you want to start? Do you want me to start?
I guess I'll go, because, okay. I don't think I initially knew there were any stereotypes around it. I was very closed off from the rest of the percussion world when I first began. I didn't know much about marching band. I didn't know DCI existed. Nothing. I knew nothing about that. Everything was strictly concert-based. And I guess I really didn't much know that drum set was also a very male-dominated instrument. So I think I was lucky in the sense that I went into the field completely blind of that fact. Yeah. And I did it for the love of the game.
You just love drums. You didn't care who it was. You just like drums. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we had more girl percussionists my 5th grade year than boy percussionists. So it was...
Sorry.
So it was
That's
great.
fine.
It's where I met like my best friend, and that percussion is how we got close. So I didn't really know anything about it at first. It was, as I got more into it, the more I did like out-of-school honor bands and just like out-of-school programs and stuff like that, where we interacted with percussionists from other schools, districts, did I realize there's a lot of boys. Mm-hmm. And for a while, it honestly felt like it was me and my best friend against the world. Yeah. But we did so good. We worked really hard. Going to like the whole front ensemble thing, I am in front ensemble, or I was in front ensemble. I'm graduating. It was one of my favorite things ever. Now
Wait, graduating or front ensemble?
Oh.
Like, what's your favorite thing ever? Graduating or front ensemble?
Front ensemble.
So you said I'm graduating, which is my favorite thing ever. And I was like, all right.
Front ensemble is one of my absolute favorite things I've ever done. But I come from a strictly concert background. Mm-hmm. Where I'm from, schools from elementary to middle school to high school are like completely separated from each other. There's like no integration. Yeah. And I went to a high school that was strictly an arts-based school that did not have any sort of sports, and it didn't have a marching program. So I had zero background when I got to UNA. I thought that anything marching band related, there was no way I could do it. As I did sort of learn it existed, I was like, this is crazy. This is like insane playing. I don't think I can do this.
Intimidating.
It was very intimidating. Yeah. And so when I got to UNA, having never marched, that's why I ended up in front ensemble. Not necessarily anything to do with me being a girl, I think.
Yeah.
Did you play Vibes your first year?
I played Vibes my freshman year. Yeah. But I do think there is definitely stereotypes about girls being in percussion, about like what instruments we gravitate towards, that sort of thing. And I've really had to sort of push back even in like the concert setting about what instruments I want to play. And don't get me wrong, I love playing mallets. It's you know, melodic instruments are my favorite things to play. I love melody. But I still yearn to play something with drums in it. It's like last semester we went to PASIC and we played a song that involved 2 marimbas and 2 bongo kick drum setups. And whenever we got to choose our parts, I chose the bongo kick drum setup because I was like, I want an opportunity to play drums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
So what about you?
So I was very fortunate. Like, I also grew up in a place where they were very supportive of the girls, like, being in percussion.
Yeah.
I think my 6th grade year, it was me, my friend Kate, Amira. They were, like, my 2 best friends going through middle school. And then there were, like, 3 other girls, I think, that joined with us. So it was, like, low-key half and half, I think, when I joined in 6th grade. And then once we got to high school, it kind of filtered out. My friend Amira decided to join color guard for marching band, but she stayed doing percussion for concert band and everything.
Yeah.
So it was the 3 of us kind of paving that way for girls that were coming through the middle school that, like, saw us going out there and doing the thing, and they're like, okay, like, I can do that too, you know? So my freshman year of high school, there's a picture of me at auditions. I was the only girl in that battery room, and I was tiny. I was like 4'9". Like, I was tiny. So you see little me, I have on like a yellow shirt. So like I stand out. And then there's all these boys towering. Well, I had.
Oh, it wasn't just like a yellow shirt.
Oh, it was actually because my dad had gone to Japan that year to judge a show, and he brought back like the 2020 Olympics merch that had been coming out, but then it didn't even happen. So like, I guess that's just a little.
That'll go for some good money.
Fact.
You should sell it on eBay. I bet it'd go for good money.
It's got to be at my house. But anyways, there's a picture, and it's just all these guys like towering over me, and then me just standing there, like also at the drum, which I guess is kind of cool. But yeah, so I made the snare line my freshman year of high school. I marched snare all 4 years there, and then my first 2 years here at UNA. But I feel like there are a lot of times where I tell somebody that I'm in band, or like they find out I'm in band, and they're like, oh, do you play the flute? Like, do you do color guard? And I'm like, no, I play the drums.
I play the drums.
So it is awkward sometimes when it's like people just assume, oh, they played the flute, which boys can play the flute too.
We do.
You know,
very good.
Yeah,
excellent.
We have some
players,
very
male
excellent male flute players. So I guess it's just like it's awkward sometimes when you're like, oh, I play percussion, and they're like, oh, do you play marimba? And I'm like, no, I play snare drum, you know? So, but I think, like Shaina was saying, like, I was very fortunate to grow up in a place where I was supported to do whatever I wanted to do, and, like, as long as I worked for that, because you still have to put the work in.
You were going to get the same equal opportunity as everybody else was. Yeah. See, that's good, because when I was in 6th grade, when we auditioned, there was 11 percussionists. There was not a single girl. Granted, we also did not have a lot of females in band. Because we had a huge, like, beginner band. It was like 60 or 70 people within the beginner band, and we had 12 percussionists, and not a single one of them were women.
Wow.
Yeah, it was insane. Like, even as, like, little 6th grade me, I was like,
what's going on here?
But we had 6 male flute players too at that point, so it was like, yeah, it was. And we had a female tuba player, so it was all over. It was really good. It was
awesome.
But, yeah,
6th grader.
Yeah, it was her and another guy. Well, they both quit. actually after that year, but...
But, oh my gosh, a 6th grade little girl with a tuba.
That's
I bet
awesome.
the tuba was like the size of her. It was probably so cute.
But yeah, so that's cool to hear that it was like a good balance, because that's definitely not common. Like you look at a lot of beginning bands, and it's very much a male heavy thing. As you get into higher levels of stuff, it evens out a lot more, because at that point it's just like, who can play? Like there's
Do
no.
you have the chops?
Yeah.
Do you have the hands? All right, come on.
So how did it feel walking in the studio? This is more for you, because you came in when there was a lot more females than when you walked in.
Yeah.
How did it feel walking in the studio being like one of the, only 4 girls?
Yes,
you told,
4 girls.
4 girls within the studio. How many people were in the studio at the time?
Some are like teens.
Okay, yeah.
So not horrible. It was, I think it was definitely smaller than it is now.
Mm.
I came into a studio where girls were not very present. There were 4 older girls in the studio with me, and they took me in very well. They very much wanted to protect me. The UNA Percussion studio was a different breed when I first got here from where it is now. Honestly, like, I don't want this to sound horrible, but it was kind of scary being a girl in studio when I first got here. And I know I was talking about this earlier with you guys. I was the only girl in percussion ensemble.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think all the other girls, like, didn't have to be based on, like, their major requirements and stuff like that, ensemble requirements. So my freshman year, I was the only girl. And so I guess I'm glad, because I made really good guy friends my freshman year. Like Harrison was like my rock. I call him my day. We call each other our day one, because we literally auditioned on the same day to get in here.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, no, it was scary. Some of the older guys were very intimidating. I was sort of okay. I think maybe Jaylee will get this when I say this, but I was a prophesized child.
Yeah.
Which Jaylee can relate to.
Yeah.
Basically, what that means is we did really well in our audition, and we had like really good stats coming into college, that as a freshman we were kind of hyped up to the studio before we got there.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've grown a lot since I was a freshman, but even as a freshman, I like to think a pretty decent mallet player, and our old mallet professor, Dr. Pan, saw that right off the bat. And she made me play some complicated music as a freshman. I had to learn, I don't know if you guys know the song, but I had to learn the song called Hurricane's Eye.
Ooh, yeah.
And it's not easy, especially for a freshman. And I could play it, but there was this one time freshman year where we had to do like jury recitals, where we had to choose one piece of rep and play it in front of the whole studio for a jury grade. Mm-hmm. And I was so intimidated by the upperclassmen boys and feared what they may think of me that I couldn't play.
Right.
It was the most embarrassing moment in my college career. I went to go play in front of the studio, which is primarily upperclassmen boys, and I just froze. So that was kind of what it was like when I was a freshman. I mean, there were nice people. There were nice, like, what am I trying to say? Sorry. They were nice dudes who took me in and made me feel safe. They're all graduated now, but they were very much like my big brothers.
Yeah.
But there were some other people here who definitely made me feel a little uncomfortable at the time. But it's a lot better now.
And I think that was what I was about to say. You know, like, the culture now, I think, has changed a lot within the sense of, like, everybody's welcoming everybody. Nobody cares. Like, nobody cares. We just want to see you play. We know you can play. You're here for a reason.
Yeah.
Right.
You have a job. You know, like, if you do your job and you work hard, we're going to respect you, and then you'll respect us too.
Absolutely.
So it's less about the whole, gender side of it, and more of a like, can you play?
Right. Well, and even like the past 2 years, there's been so many girls in the studio. Like we can put a little picture here, but we had a Galentine's party last year with all the girls. Like it had to have been I don't even know how many.
Around 10.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. Girls in studio, girls in
marching.
Yeah.
So what about, so you came into a more female or dominated studio, but what about being one of the first snare drummers to come back as a female? In a while?
So last year I made the snare line as a freshman, and I was the only girl on the snare line. There were 2 girls.
No, 2 years ago.
2 years ago?
It was 2 years ago when you auditioned. So it's 26. So
I guess,
last year was 25.
Well, okay, my freshman year, I came in. I was the only girl on the snare line, and there were 2 girls in battery, me and my friend Olivia, and I was the first girl on the snare line at UNA since 2008, which is such a crazy stat, I guess.
Did Dr. Wiggins tell you that stat? Yeah.
He did the research. And obviously we had a conversation about that, me and Dr. Wiggins, and he's like, it's not of lack of letting the girls do it, it was more of lack of girls actually trying out,
wanting to,
so it was pretty cool to come in. I think I was the only girl to audition on snare line my freshman year as well.
I was so hyped when you got here.
It was so cool to walk in though, cause there were so many of the girls from front ensemble that were hyping me up, and even the guys I got here, and it was Eli Colston and DJ. They were like, "Yo, what's up?" And it just kind of felt like I fit right in.
You were one of the guys. You weren't some new. Yeah, you just kind of fit. Yeah.
It was cool to just kind of get in and just be one with the crew. So it obviously there are some challenges still being a girl in that environment, because it can be pretty intimidating. You don't know what they're thinking of you. Sometimes they you can think do I really belong here? You start to question it a little bit because you're one of the only ones there, and it feels like you have to work 10 times as hard sometimes, because you just want to prove yourself, I'm here for a reason, and I know you all know it, but sometimes
you have to prove it to yourself more than I think you do to other people.
That's what it feels like. And I actually talked to now Dr. D, Dr. Daughtry, about this in my lesson, I think last week. It's really hard sometimes feeling like you have to prove something, when in reality, you don't, because as long as you work hard, everybody else is doing, put in the work, you're gonna be fine.
Mm-hmm. Feeling like you have to prove something to other people versus proving stuff to yourself that other people already, it's a lot harder than trying to prove things to other people. Proving things to yourself is a lot harder because it's more of an internal battle than it is with other people.
You're always yourself's worst
critic.
Very true.
Okay, so what were some of the early mentors that maybe built a path for you? And it doesn't have to be someone you knew personally. It can be someone you looked up to that really not supported what you thought you could do. So who was that, or who were those people to you?
Okay, well, we'll start with my drum set teacher was sort of the first person to open those doors for me. And then going into middle school, my middle school band director is the reason I am where I am today, because I would not have gained such a love for percussion without that man. He was a percussionist, and having a percussionist as a band director was awesome.
Yeah.
Especially because it's not the most common where I'm from to have a band director and a separate percussion instructor. So having that be one person was I don't know, it was kind of nice.
Yeah.
So he was the biggest influence for me, but Another person who really inspired me was my best friend, who was in percussion with me because she just loved to play, and I loved to play with her. So that kept me going throughout my early stages. I think some other notable people, as I was like learning drums in the first place, one person who was brought up a lot was Sheila E. One of the songs I listened to over and over again was Glamorous Life by Sheila E. I loved that song, and she just got inducted to the PAS Hall of Fame this past year.
Shout out.
I saw her banner when we were there. So that was really cool. That was really cool being like, holy crap, it's Sheila E. So those are probably like my earliest influences when I was still just a kid, 10 years old. Biggest mentors for me then.
Mm-hmm. What about you? Can't say your parents.
Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna say I think my dad definitely.
No, I just said you can't say your parents.
But.
Cheater.
Okay, hold on. I'm not done. But like obviously, having him in my life, has been great. Like seeing the things he's done and like the ways he teaches, all that. But, growing up, like I didn't have any female percussion instructors, like specifically at school. But every time I went to do honor band, throughout, especially middle school, there I saw faces like Cecilia Clark and like Selena Sanchez and Mary Madison Toole. Shout out. But like those three always came in to help teach the honor bands. And I had also seen like Selena and Mary Madison performing. They did Atlanta CV for a while, and Mary Madison actually went to the high school I went to. So getting to see those female percussionists like absolutely killing it, and Cecilia, she's a band director. She was one of the first female, but percussionist band directors I had actually like gotten to work with, and now I get to teach with her when I'm back home, which is so awesome. But it was so cool to have those three just kind of by my side, like in my corner growing up. And then like going through high school, and now that I'm out of high school, getting to teach with kind of all three of them. It was pretty awesome just to have like those female faces that I could lean on, ask questions. So like I feel like something with all humans really is seeing somebody who like looks like you or like has similar whatever like female traits. Traits. Similar traits as you doing the thing. Mm-hmm. You can imagine yourself doing that thing too.
Absolutely.
So like growing up, you had those people, and I think probably as you matured and got older, you realized that was actually one of the biggest like aspects that helped you.
Oh yeah.
So everybody has difficult moments in their career. Like, I mean, especially with music, because music is something you can get very burnt out on very easily and very quickly,
oh
too.
My gosh!
especially being a music major, you've got so much repertoire you have to play, and you have different like ensembles we do, concerts we do. What is something or someone that helped you get through those difficult moments? And it doesn't have to be a person. It can just be like, it can even be like a personal thought of like the drive of like, because mine was the thought of getting to be a teacher and teach people how to do music one day, how to do the thing that I love to do.
Yeah.
So like what were your things that help you get through those difficult moments?
Well, I'm a senior, so I'm going to have to try to be a little bit more sentimental, because right now what's getting me through is the light at the end of that tunnel, that piece of paper.
Right.
But for me, I want to say the two biggest people that have pushed me in percussion, especially in like the last few years, have been my mom and Harrison Gonzalez. First of all, to talk about my mom, I had no idea what I wanted to do when it came to leaving high school. I was not the kind of person who had like a dream school with like the dream things you wanted at that school. I did not give a gaff about college when I graduated high school. I had a list of things I didn't want.
Oh my god.
That's where I was. And so we came across this place because of Danny Markham, who is a friend to a family friend, and we saw through Facebook. That's how we found out about this place. My mom really, really pushed me to do like everything possible so that I had the best chance for my future self. Like in high school, she pushed me to take every audition, try every ensemble, take the hardest classes so that I had a resume that would get me anywhere I wanted to go. She really pushed me, and I was a whiny little baby, depressed little emo high schooler who didn't want to do anything. And so she got me through kicking and screaming. Oh my gosh. And then when I got here to UNA, of course, day one, Harrison Gonzalez. And he has been like my partner in crime in this percussion studio since I got here. Every like crazy song we've had to play, every ensemble piece we've had to work through,
There's been some crazy ones.
every funky solo we've ever been assigned, and where I've gotten to a point where I'm like, I don't want to do this no more. I don't know if I can do this. Harrison's like, it's us. We got it. Like,
Right. Yeah.
And so it's such a simple thing because he has such a attitude.
Yeah.
He's got that like kind of I don't care, but I'm so good to me. Like
Yeah.
it's like I'm gonna do this anyways. You know, it's like
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, and I am someone who is such high anxiety. So having a person who's just very straightforward,
Like a rock.
yeah, he has gotten me through these past 3.5 years, for sure.
all right. What about you? Can't say your parents.
Well, okay, I feel like this is something though that I've
No,
talked
I'm just
about
kidding, yeah.
with Austin, like about how my junior year I just kind of hit this point, or I guess it was my senior year, getting ready for auditions, and like I was not practicing enough at all, and my parents sat me down and they were like, hey, like if you want to do the thing, you got to put in the work now. So I'm thankful every day that they pushed me to push like myself, I guess. Cause there was a hot minute there. I was like, I don't want to do anything. But no, like, they've always just been so supportive of anything that I want to do or try. So I'm just always grateful for that. And I think getting here, really just like all the friends that I've made. Because not that we like trauma bond, but sometimes you get a piece and you're like, man,
You're all in it together.
I really
you know,
don't want to do
yeah.
this. And they're like, well, you got to.
Yeah.
You know?
We just talked a lot about PASIC and the hours of repertoire that y'all had to practice
like
and stuff.
there's and I mean, music is our major. That's our life. You know, we sign up for this. This is our job now.
I'm putting myself through this.
yeah. And not saying it's all like horrible.
No.
You know, but you're gonna go through moments where it's like, I really don't want to do this, but I have to. And it's good to have your peers and your friends just pushing through it together and like getting to that next step.
Because we definitely highlight a lot of the bad stuff, but there's so many like little funny moments that make everything worth it.
Yeah.
Like there's so many funny things that may happen, like even with like marching band, like doing karaoke on the back of a charter bus. Like the trip at that point, we were exhausted, but nobody cared because we're already here. We have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's having a positive mindset about things, even through the negative stuff. And I kind of hate it on you, but my who has helped me is also my parents. I did not want to do band. I did not want to do band at all. My parents made me join because I quit baseball.
My mommy made me.
I quit baseball a year before that, and I tried basketball. Horrible at basketball. Whole different thing. I was terrible. I got 1 point and it was on a free throw. But no, so I joined band, and they were they were the ones that were like, no, you got to do something. So at that point, I was like, okay, I'll do band. And, they kept pushing me, to do different things outside of that. That's where they got me involved with indoor percussion, stuff like that. There was different things that I didn't want to do. Like, I was fine with going in there and playing my 3 concert pieces with my band, but pushing more to do more things and go to honor bands, go to clinics, stuff like that. That definitely helped me become who I am and get me through those difficult moments. They were always like, you chose this. They were they had that attitude of like, you chose this. I mean, yeah, it sucks. I'm sorry, but you kind of got to get through this on your own, but we're going to be there to support you throughout it. So, yeah. What instrument did you start with?
Well, obviously, like I said.
Drum set, yeah.
Yeah, drum set.
Okay, here, I'll ask you this. What point did you decide that you liked melodic instruments more? Was it like an on-site, like, this is way more fun, I want to do this? Or was it like okay, yeah, this is cool, and then you were like, yes?
It was very much a gradual progression. I did a lot of drums in middle school.
Yeah.
I did lots of drums in middle school. I played lots of snare drum in concert band. But I did everything. And eventually, as I got older and I found out that, like, playing with 4 mallets was a thing, I was like, dude, this is really freaking cool.
Yeah.
And I love melody. One of my favorite types of music is movie scores. And so I really learned to appreciate the power of a melody, the power of, like, a motif. I mean, and of course, motifs can be rhythmic, but I also love the movement that comes with playing, like, a 5-octave marimba solo, because it's like a dance. It's a choreographed dance. When you get the song as good as you get it, it's so fluid, and I love that. I think that's one of the things I love most about melodic instruments is it's a dance.
Mm-hmm. You can put your body into it more than you can with, like, a snare drum solo. It's more of a I get it.
I love the flow of it. Yeah.
So what about, okay, because I mean, obviously you knew percussion a long time before. What did you start on? What was the first thing, or maybe what was your favorite thing when you started? What was your favorite thing to do when you started?
When I first started? When I first started, I loved playing, like, the snare drum part in concert band. I was always scared, low-key, of the mallet parts. Because, like, sometimes, like, getting up there and, like, reading whatever bell, xylo, like, parts, that can be scary sometimes. So I always gravitated to the drum. And in high school, like, I marched snare drum all 4 years. I marched snare the first 2 years here. Now I'm actually auditioning for front ensemble this year. Because I think, and I played vibraphone at Atlanta CV in 2021. Okay. So that's the 1 year, like, one place I've ever marched. Done front ensemble. But I think since I'm an education major, I think it's going to be a really great experience for me to also get that front ensemble perspective.
Expand your knowledge on different things that, being one direction would. Yeah.
So, I am trying out for front ensemble this year, which is crazy to say. But through my years, I learned to play 4 mallets in 7th grade. And I just kind of took that and, like, ran with it.
Yeah.
I love solo marimba. Like, that is one of my favorite things to do in percussion. And I've always been told I'm a very musical player. So I like to kind of, like, bring out that musicality. And obviously you can do that on any instrument. But I do really love solo marimba, too.
I started on concert snare drum because, like, I was very blessed with a director that wanted us to be well-rounded. We would swap days in which we would do drums and then we'd do mallet stuff, keyboard stuff. I hated the keyboard stuff. I never did it. We had, like, flashcards of the notes and I never did it. I hated it. I just wanted to play the drum. Like, I just wanted to hit drums, and it bothered me that he was trying to teach me that. Looking back on it, I really wish I did it then. But up until my freshman year of high school, I didn't play mallets. That wasn't a thing I did. I just played snare drum or timpani. And then Harrison, we were playing Sheltering Sky, and Harrison's like, "You're playing the vibraphone part," because he had the marimba duo with someone else right next to me, and I was like, "I don't want to." And he's like, "Well, you're going to," and I was like, "Got it."
All right,
Great, perfect.
Did it, and I had a lot of fun. It's a really beautiful piece, and I loved playing vibraphone for it.
So you did the
did
bowing.
Well, we didn't have bows, so I just hit it with the mallet. Same thing, it worked, but we got to use the motor, and I loved it because we used the motor. Yeah. But I didn't play another mallet piece for another 3 years after that, because at that point I got into timpani, and nobody else really knew how to play timpani. So I played timpani for everything that we did. So that kind of led me to now, where when I did my music major audition, I actually held 4 mallets wrong, and I didn't find that out until October in my lessons with Miss D, now Dr. D. Do you know Dr. D and Dr. T? They're very...
Dr. D.
Dr. D and Dr. D.
Dr. D, Dr.
She was like, "You're playing traditional grip." And I was like, "No way." But I was holding it Burton, and I was trying to do everything Burton. She's like, "Yeah, I don't know what you're doing." I was like,
"Oh."
So I fixed it, but looking back, I wish I would have taken more of the keyboard side of stuff, because coming here, it's definitely a challenge to try to get more used to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What advice do you have? Not just for, obviously the topic of this is women in percussion, but young kids in general getting into percussion, because it's a very scary thing. With flute, you play the flute. Mm-hmm. Clarinet, you play the clarinet. You play the sax. You play all these instruments, and you usually just play that one thing. Maybe when you get further, you progress into different things. But in percussion, you have to learn so much, and it can be intimidating. What advice do you have in general for people going into percussion, younger kids?
Don't think about it too much.
Okay.
Don't think about it too much. You're gonna have fun. There is, like we have discussed, there are going to be things that you just feel sick and tired of. There's going to be instruments that you don't want to play. But don't let it intimidate you. Just don't even think about it. That's kind of how I went into it. I was like, this is cool. I want to do this. And I think if you find something that you find interesting and you have the opportunity to try it, you should just go for it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Really don't think about it too much. That's my biggest issue in everything that I do, is I overthink everything. Don't. You're gonna have fun.
Period.
That's it. Go ahead.
I think it goes along with what Shaina said, but don't let it overwhelm you, because you're going to have people in front of you that are going to help you break things down. And I think the coolest thing about percussion is there's so many options. And you choose something you want to put the work into, and the world's your oyster.
Yeah. Your oyster.
So it's just if you feel like you have a passion for this, there's so many different world percussion, there's
so many different paths to
take.
So
many different paths. You have snare drum, marching band, you have percussion ensemble, you have contemporary ensemble.
Just
you can be
broad.
As niche or as broad as you want to be. It's really up to you.
So it's pretty awesome to have whatever options.
Do what you want.
Mine would be just do it. The Nikes, just do it. It's not as bad as people make it out to be. We talk about it a lot from an aspect of, I think sometimes we tend to overreact with how we think of things. We tend to make it worse than it is, but it's very exciting learning new stuff. Yeah. Learning something new every week in my lessons has been one of the best things that I've enjoyed in percussion, was doing something new every week. I finally learned how to play a flam on a tambourine back in September. It was great. And then I learned how to play crash cymbals, whatever. And then I learned how to play crash cymbals, and now I'm learning proper drum set technique, timpani technique. I'm learning all these things I didn't know before. And even with my piano classes, I'm learning these theory things that I didn't know before, and it's eye-opening, but it's also cool because it leads to even more. It's a whole rabbit hole you can get in. You just have to jump in, and you have to start doing it. You don't have to know everything at first, because I didn't. Like, I didn't know much even going into my senior year. It's just, you have to get in and do it and have the want to do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Join drums.
Do drums.
Percussions.
You're gonna be really cool.
Do percussions.
You won't regret it.
We need like one of those, you need like what's the woman's name?
Rosie the Riveter.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
need one of those that just says join drums.
You can do it. Join drums.
Insert here.
Join drums.
Put it on you.
Do drums.
All right. You ready?
Thanks for watching.
Coming home.